Welcome back, fellow numismatists and coin enthusiasts. Today we're diving into something truly special. Three Jefferson nickels that might be hiding in your change jar right now, potentially worth thousands of dollars. That's right, these aren't ancient Roman coins or gold doubloons from shipwrecks. These are modern U.S. nickels that were minted during our lifetime, circulating inconspicuously among countless others, but carrying secret value that most people completely overlook. So before you cash in that jar of change at the grocery store coin counter, you'll want to pay close attention to what I'm about to share. Our journey begins with the 1979 Jefferson Nickel, a coin that perfectly illustrates how even the smallest minting errors can create extraordinary value in the numismatic world. Now, you might be thinking, a 1979 nickel? I probably have dozens of those. And you very well might. But what you're looking for is something extraordinarily specific, and I'm going to teach you exactly what to look for. The 1979 Jefferson Nickel was minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with production numbers reaching into the hundreds of millions. Under normal circumstances, these would be entirely ordinary coins worth exactly 5 cents. However, a small number of these nickels left the Philadelphia Mint with what we call a filled die error. This occurs when the recessed areas of a die become clogged with grease, dirt, or metal fragments during the striking process, resulting in portions of the design being weak or completely missing on the finished coin. What makes the 1979 error nickel particularly fascinating is the nature of the missing elements. On these error coins, certain parts of Jefferson's profile and some letters in the inscriptions appear faint or entirely absent. The most valuable specimens show an almost ghostly image of Jefferson, with his eye, ear, and parts of his hair seemingly erased from existence. It creates an eerie, almost artistic modification to the standard design. To identify this rare error, you'll need a magnifying glass and good lighting. Examine the obverse, that's the front side with Jefferson's profile, carefully. On normal 1979 nickels, Jefferson's portrait is crisp and detailed. On the error coins, parts of his face appear to fade away, particularly around the eye and ear. It's as if the metal refused to fully take the impression during striking. The inscription, "In God We Trust," may also show missing or partially formed letters, particularly in God and trust. Now, let's talk value, and this is where it gets exciting. A standard 1979 Jefferson nickel in circulation condition is worth exactly 5 cents. Even in uncirculated condition, a regular 1979 nickel might fetch between $1 and $5 from a collector. But the filled die error coins? Those are in an entirely different league. Depending on the severity of the error and the condition of the coin, these rare specimens have sold for anywhere from $500 to an astonishing $3,000 in recent auctions. Just last year, a particularly dramatic example showing almost no detail in Jefferson's face sold at a heritage auction for $2,750. The buyer, a specialized error coin collector from Texas, called it one of the most visually striking filled die errors in his 20 years of collecting. What makes these coins particularly valuable is their extreme rarity. Numismatic experts estimate that fewer than 5,000 examples exist out of the approximately 463 million nickels produced at the Philadelphia Mint that year. Let me share a fascinating story about these coins that demonstrates why provenance matters in numismatics. In 1981, a bank teller in Pittsburgh named Margaret Weldon noticed something odd about a nickel that came through her drawer. Being an amateur coin collector, she recognized the unusual appearance of Jefferson's profile and set the coin aside. She eventually showed it to her nephew, who worked at a coin shop, and he immediately recognized its significance. That single coin, which she found in everyday circulation, was appraised at $800 in 1981, equivalent to about $2,500 in today's money. Margaret's keen eye and numismatic curiosity paid off handsomely. The condition of these error nickels dramatically affects their value, perhaps even more so than with standard coins. Because the error itself is subtle, specimens in higher grades, MS 63 and above, command significantly higher prices, as the error is more readily apparent and distinguishable from simple wear. A heavily circulated error nickel might be worth $300 to $500, while a pristine uncirculated example could easily fetch 10 times that amount. What particularly interests advanced collectors about the 1979 filled die error is how it varies from coin to coin. Some examples show just a slightly weakened profile, while others display an almost completely absent portrait. This variation creates a fascinating subcategory of collecting, where enthusiasts seek to acquire multiple examples showing different stages of the error. One collector in California has assembled what's considered the definitive collection of these error coins, with 12 different specimens showing progressive degrees of the filled die effect. The 1979 filled die nickel also holds an important place in modern numismatic history. It represents one of the most significant and visually dramatic modern U.S. coin errors that wasn't caught by the mint's quality control processes. While earlier eras of U.S. coinage saw numerous striking errors due to less sophisticated technology, by the 1970s, the mint's quality control had become quite stringent. The fact that these error coins escaped detection and entered circulation makes them historically significant beyond their monetary value. For authentication purposes, it's worth noting that counterfeits of this error are extremely rare, primarily because most people don't know about the error in the first place. However, as awareness grows, so does the risk of encountering fakes. The best way to authenticate a suspected 1979 filled die error nickel is to have it examined by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. These companies employ experts who can distinguish between genuine mint errors and post-mint damage or alteration. If you're fortunate enough to discover one of these rare nickels in your collection, proper preservation becomes crucial. Even though it's a modern coin, the subtlety of the error means that any additional wear could diminish both the visibility of the error and the coin's value. Store it in a proper coin holder, away from extreme temperatures and humidity, and consider professional grading and encapsulation if the coin appears to be of high quality. What makes the 1979 filled die nickel particularly appealing to collectors is its accessibility. Unlike ancient coins or gold rarities that might be completely out of reach for the average collector, these error nickels potentially lurk in coin jars, collection folders, and even pocket change across America. It's one of those rare numismatic treasures that anyone might discover, regardless of their collecting budget or expertise. So next time you're sorting through your change or that old jar of coins, take a moment to examine those 1979 nickels carefully. Look for that ghostly, partially missing profile of Jefferson, and you might just find yourself holding a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of times its face value. In the world of numismatics, sometimes the most unassuming coins turn out to be the most remarkable treasures. Now let's move on to our second featured coin, the 1976 Jefferson Nickel. This coin is particularly fascinating because it was minted during America's bicentennial year, a time when the nation was celebrating 200 years of independence with special commemorative designs on the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coins. While the nickel didn't receive an official commemorative design, it has its own special place in numismatic history. The 1976 Jefferson Nickel was produced at three mints: Philadelphia, without a mint mark; Denver, with a D mint mark; and San Francisco, with an S mint mark. But what makes certain 1976 nickels extraordinarily valuable isn't their mintage location. It's a dramatic doubling error that occurred during the minting process. I'm talking about the 1976 double die obverse nickel, one of the most significant double die errors in modern U.S. coinage. Let me explain what a double die error actually is, because this is something even experienced collectors sometimes misunderstand. It's not the result of a coin being struck twice. Rather, it happens during the manufacturing of the die itself. When the hub impresses the design onto a die multiple times, if there's even the slightest misalignment between impressions, it creates a doubled image on the die. Then, every coin struck by that die exhibits the doubling. Think of it as a printing error that's baked into the production equipment itself, rather than occurring during the final strike. The 1976 double die nickel shows pronounced doubling on the obverse side, particularly noticeable in the date, the word Liberty, and in Jefferson's profile. When examining this coin, you'll want to pay special attention to the letters in Liberty and the numerals in 1976. Under magnification, you'll see clear separation and doubling of these elements. The doubling on the inscription, "In God We Trust," is especially pronounced, with each letter appearing to have a shadow or echo. What makes this particular doubled die so desirable is the extent of the doubling. Unlike some more subtle doubled dies, the 1976 nickel exhibits what numismatists call Class 1 doubling, meaning the secondary image is rotated from the primary image, creating a distinctly separate and visible doubling rather than just a slight thickening of design elements. It's dramatic enough that it can sometimes be spotted with the naked eye, though a magnifying glass makes identification much easier. In terms of market value, the 1976 double-die nickel is a true modern rarity. While a standard 1976 nickel is worth just face value in circulated condition and perhaps $1 or $2 in uncirculated grades, the double-die variety commands serious premiums. In circulated condition, these error coins start around $100 to $150, but in uncirculated grades, they can fetch between $500 and $2,000. The finest known examples, graded MS, 67 by PCGS or NGC, have sold for upwards of $3,500 at auction. One of the most remarkable auction results occurred in 2018, when a particularly well-preserved specimen graded MS, 67 plus, with exceptional eye appeal sold for a stunning $4,560 at a Stacksbauer's auction. The buyer, a specialized collector of double-die varieties, later reported that it was the centerpiece of his modern era collection. The story of how these double-die nickels were discovered adds another fascinating dimension to their history. Unlike many modern varieties that are spotted almost immediately by mint employees or numismatists, the 1976 double-die nickel went largely unnoticed for several years after its release. It wasn't until late 1979 that collector Arnold Margolis found the first example while examining rolls of nickels from his local bank. Margolis was searching for something entirely different, bicentennial quarter varieties, when he happened to examine some nickels he'd received in change. After Margolis published his find in a prominent numismatic publication, collectors across the country began searching their nickel holdings, and more examples surfaced. The delayed discovery meant that many of these error coins had already spent years in circulation, making high-grade examples particularly scarce and valuable today. It's estimated that perhaps 40,000 to 50,000 of these double-die nickels were produced, but far fewer survive in collectible condition. The condition of these error nickels has an enormous impact on their value. Because the doubling is most visible on the inscriptions and date, anywhere that diminishes the sharpness of these features directly reduces the coin's desirability and value. A heavily circulated example showing clear doubling might be worth $100, while an MS-65 specimen showing the full dramatic extent of the doubling could command 20 times that amount. This steep condition rarity curve makes the 1976 double-die nickel particularly attractive to serious collectors who appreciate how challenging it is to find pristine examples. Here's something particularly interesting about the 1976 double-die nickel. While most double-die errors affect just one side of the coin, a small subset of these 1,976 errors shows minor doubling on the reverse as well. These double-die obverse and reverse varieties are exceedingly rare and can command a significant premium over the standard double-die variety. If you're examining a 1976 nickel and spot the obverse doubling, be sure to check the reverse as well, focusing particularly on the Monticello building and the inscriptions. Authentication is crucial with these coins, as less scrupulous individuals have been known to create fake double dies through various mechanical manipulation techniques. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have authentication standards specifically for these varieties, and their expertise is invaluable in distinguishing genuine mint errors from post-mint damage or alterations. If you believe you've found one of these valuable nickels, professional certification is strongly recommended before making any purchase or sale decisions. The 1976 double-die nickel also holds special significance for collectors of bicentennial-era U.S. coinage. While the mint produced special commemorative designs for the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coins that year, the fact that this dramatic error occurred on the standard nickel design during this historic year adds an extra dimension of collectability. Many specialized bicentennial collections now include the 1976 double-die nickel alongside the official commemorative issues. The continuing appeal of this coin lies partly in its accessibility. Unlike ancient coins locked away in museums or ultra-rarities trading only among wealthy collectors, the 1976 double-die nickel remains a findable treasure. They're still occasionally discovered in circulation, bankrolls, and in collections where the owner didn't recognize their significance. Just last year, a collector in Ohio reported finding one in a $2 roll of nickels purchased from his local bank, a $500 coin discovered for essentially face value. For those of you watching who might want to search for these valuable coins, I recommend examining any 1976 nickels in your collection under good lighting with at least a 5x magnifying glass. Focus first on the word Liberty and the date. If you see any signs of doubling, then check "In God We Trust" for confirmation. Remember, genuine double dies show consistent doubling across multiple design elements. Doubling on just one letter or number is likely post-mint damage or a strike-related issue, not a true double die. Our third and final featured rarity today is the 1990 Jefferson Nickel, a coin that perfectly illustrates how even seemingly minor variations can create significant value in modern coinage. Unlike our previous two examples, which featured dramatic errors, the 1990 nickel's value comes from something more subtle but equally fascinating to serious collectors: a major die modification that created an identifiable subvariety. The 1990 Jefferson Nickel was minted at both Philadelphia and Denver, with total production exceeding 650 million coins. Under normal circumstances, these would be common, everyday coins worth exactly 5 cents. However, during 1990, the Philadelphia Mint implemented a significant change to the master hub used to create the working dies. This change created what numismatists now call the 1990p Jefferson Nickel with the special reverse, or enhanced reverse design. Let me explain what makes this special reverse so distinctive. On standard Jefferson Nickels from this era, the steps of Monticello on the reverse side are typically somewhat flat and indistinct, with 5 steps visible but not particularly well defined. However, on the special reverse variety, the steps of Monticello are much more sharply defined, with clear delineation between each step. The entire building appears more three-dimensional, with enhanced architectural details throughout. The dome, columns, and even the inscription, Monticello, all show greater relief and clarity compared to the standard version. This wasn't an error. It was an intentional design enhancement implemented by the Mint to improve the aesthetic quality of the coin. What makes it valuable is that the special reverse design was used for only a portion of the 1990 production before the Mint reverted to the standard design. Numismatic researchers estimate that perhaps 20 to 25% of 1990 Philadelphia nickels feature this enhanced reverse, making them significantly scarcer than their standard counterparts. Identifying this variety requires careful examination of the reverse side. Under magnification, focus on the steps of Monticello. The special reverse shows clear, distinct steps with sharp corners and edges between them. The standard reverse shows flatter, less defined steps that often blend together. The overall appearance of the building has greater depth and dimensionality on the special reverse coins. Once you've trained your eye to recognize the difference, it becomes quite apparent, even without magnification. In terms of market value, the 1990 special reverse nickel presents an interesting case study in condition-based pricing. In circulated grades, these coins typically sell for $5 to $20, depending on the level of wear. However, in uncirculated condition, the values increase dramatically. An MS-63 select uncirculated example might bring $30 to $50, while an MS-65 gem uncirculated can fetch $75 to $150. The real premium comes with the highest grades. An MS-67 special reverse nickel has sold for over $2,000 at auction, while the standard reverse in the same grade might bring only $100 to $200. The most notable auction result for this variety occurred in 2017, when a PCGS-certified MS-68 example, one of only 3 known in this exceptional grade, sold for an astonishing $4,800. The buyer, a specialized Jefferson nickel collector building a finest-known set, later commented that the coin's exceptional strike and surface preservation made it a true condition rarity worthy of its record price. The story of how this variety was discovered adds another fascinating dimension to its collectability. Unlike many varieties that are noticed almost immediately upon release, the special reverse 1990 nickel wasn't recognized as significant until around 1997, when numismatist John Wexler began studying die variations in Jefferson Nickels. Wexler noticed the enhanced detail on some 1990 nickels and published his findings in various numismatic journals, bringing this variety to wider attention among collectors. By the time the variety was recognized, most 1990 nickels had been in circulation for 7 years, meaning that high-grade examples were already becoming scarce. This delayed discovery created a situation where many collectors and dealers had these potentially valuable coins in their possession without realizing their significance, a scenario that continues to this day. Just last year, a collector in Michigan reported finding 4 uncirculated examples while searching through a dealer's common date nickel inventory priced at just 10 cents each, turning a 40-cent purchase into coins worth approximately $200. The condition factor for these nickels is particularly crucial because the special reverse characteristics are most apparent on unworn coins. As circulation wear affects a coin, the enhanced steps and architectural details begin to flatten, making the variety harder to distinguish from standard issues. A heavily circulated special reverse might be worth just a small premium over face value, while a pristine example can command hundreds or even thousands of dollars. What makes the 1990 special reverse nickel particularly compelling for collectors is how it represents a brief, undocumented design enhancement that the mint implemented with little fanfare. Unlike major design changes that are publicly announced, this enhancement happened quietly, perhaps as part of an internal quality improvement initiative. This lack of official documentation adds an element of mystery that many collectors find appealing. The special reverse variety has become a key date for collectors assembling complete Jefferson nickel sets, particularly those focusing on varieties and subtypes. In the major third-party grading service population reports, the number of special reverse examples submitted for grading continues to grow each year as more collectors become aware of the variety and search their holdings. This growing recognition will likely drive values higher over time, especially for high-grade specimens. Authentication of the special reverse variety can be challenging for newcomers to the hobby, as the differences, while significant, require trained eyes to spot consistently. Professional grading services now recognize and attribute this variety, which has helped establish its legitimacy in the marketplace. If you believe you found one of these special nickels, comparing it side by side with a standard 1990 Philadelphia nickel is the best way to confirm your discovery before seeking professional authentication. There's an interesting collecting strategy that's emerged around this coin that I'd like to share with you. Some forward-thinking collectors have begun assembling comparison sets featuring both the standard and special reverse 1990 nickels in identical grades, typically housed in special 2-coin holders that allow for side-by-side examination. These educational sets have become popular teaching tools at coin clubs and numismatic exhibitions, helping new collectors train their eyes to recognize subtle but significant design variations. For those of you watching who might want to search for these valuable coins, I recommend checking any 1990 Philadelphia nickels in your collection. Remember, only the Philadelphia coins have this variety. Look for ones without a mint mark. Examine the Monticello building under good lighting and magnification, paying particular attention to the steps and overall crispness of the architectural details. Even if your coins show some circulation wear, the special reverse characteristics may still be visible enough to identify. As we conclude our examination of the 1990 special reverse nickel, I'm reminded of why modern varieties like this make our hobby so accessible and rewarding. Unlike ancient coins or classic rarities that might be financially out of reach for many collectors, varieties like this can potentially be found by anyone with the knowledge to recognize them. They demonstrate that numismatic treasures don't always come with historic pedigrees or 6-figure price tags. Sometimes they're hiding in plain sight, waiting for the observant collector to discover them.